From Monin Park, just a few relay throws from the harbor. We got a baseball doubleheader coming your way on the LEC network. It's the Castleton Spartans paying a visit to the UMass Boston Beacons on a lovely, albeit windy, Saturday afternoon. My name is Milton Posner. Thank you so very much for tuning in. A little bit of a irregular occurrence for today. Castleton visiting Monin Park, and yet they are listed as the home team. These were originally supposed to be their home games, but the condition of their field, it has not yet been rendered playable, which means that Castleton, who has played 14 games this season to the Beacons 15, has yet to play at home. All their road games have been rescheduled, and yet here they are. Castleton comes in with a 5-8-1 record. They haven't strung together more than 2 wins or 3 losses in a row, but the losses have gradually come to outweigh the wins. For UMass Boston, it's been a stellar start to the season, 11-4 with a 2-0 record in conference, putting them second place behind Eastern Connecticut State University in the early going. But they come into this game having lost their last 2 games and are looking to rebound here against a Castleton team they know they can take. Going to get you to the all-time series first of all between these two teams, a little bit abbreviated, Castleton having just joined the LEC in 2019, and UMass Boston has taken all 4 meetings. It has been a little while since they played. It was last season mid-April when UMass Boston took a narrow win with Dylan Ryan pitching them the way there. 3 shutout innings with 6 strikeouts to his name. But today it's going to be Alex Amalfi on the mound for UMass Boston. Has had a stellar start to the season, 4th lowest earned run average in the Little East Conference, and we will show you his statistical profile right about now. The junior right-hander, 6'1", 185 at a nearby Ashland, Massachusetts, and a guy who has really piqued a lot of people's interest, a lot of local press, a lot of buzz about him. Head coach Brendan Eigebrot saying he is a legit pro prospect. He is the real deal, the team's best pitcher, and last season one of the best in the nation. He expects to be one of the top 3 starters and workhorses this season, and so far he has lived up to that billing. Amalfi's got 17 2/3 innings under his belt, as you can see, with an earned run average just a couple of ticks north of 2 runs per 9. Those strikeout numbers you can see there, second on the team, trailing only Dylan Ryan, the aforementioned Dylan Ryan, in that category. Player to watch is going to be Ethan Herrera, who has spent some time on the mound this season and fared decently well, but he is starting in right field today. You can see the career averages. You can see what he has done this season. In addition to his pitching responsibilities, 10 hits in 30 at-bats. He's played in 13 games. Most of those, 10 of them, in fact, have been starts. Remains to be seen if he's going to pitch in relief in this game, but he's going to be starting in right field. He's got 7 runs scored, 8 runs batted in, and a home run to his name. He has also logged 8 walks against 9 strikeouts, so a disciplined hitter through the first 15 games of the season. And for UMass Boston, we mentioned 2-0 in the conference slate thus far. That came in a doubleheader win over WestCon. It was a little bit abbreviated due to rain last weekend, but nevertheless a 9-0 win in the opener, a 6-2 win before the second game was called. But since then, it's been a little bit tricky for them. And against Western New England University in a midweek back-to-back on the road, and lost both games. 9-7 to Roger Williams in the first game, and a 17-11 loss against Western New England University in the second game. They're going to be trying to rebound here. We will pause for the anthem and be right back with a first pitch from Monin Park. Riley Orr to take the hill for the Castleton Spartans in this one, the junior right-hander out of Queensbury, New York. He has appeared in 6 games this season. 3 of them have been starts. He is 7th in the LEC in innings pitched. He has been the workhorse of this staff. 19 2/3 innings pitched for him. That said, the run, the hit, the walk totals are near some of the LEC's highest. You expect that on some level with the volume, but he has had a little bit of trouble. A 9.15 earned run average, 10 strikeouts to his name, but also 8 walks. He has given up 5 home runs on the season. The whip's almost at 2. Interestingly enough, though, the 20 runs that have crossed the plate during his stewardship of the mound, only 8 of them charged to him. So he's also been he has also suffered from the lack of fielding around him. So as he takes the mound for Castleton, he's going to have to face a UMass Boston lineup that has a good number of potent threats in it, and we will get to them in just a moment. But for now, I'm going to keep in mind that UMass Boston is going to be the visiting team for today. Strike one outside. It's going to be Steve Brookwell to lead it off in center field, followed by Drew Metzdorf and Aiden Blake. The heart of the order. There's a ground ball into the hole at short. It's a diving stop. There's going to be no play here, and Brookwell's got an infield hit. A valiant try by Jake O'Brien at short. But it's ultimately for naught. Steve Brookwell just runs too well, and the ball was hit too neatly into the hole. But the rest of the lineup breaks down like this. Metzdorf and Blake, then Kevin Carrera, Craig Corliss, and Luke Levitt. And then at the bottom of the order, Jake Woltman, Gianni Zurilli, and Ethan Herrera. They're going to be facing off against Riley Orr, and the defense behind Orr looks this way. So he throws over to first, and Brookwell dives back safely. Carson Mosher's catching him behind the plate. Evan Keegan at first, Tyler McLean at second, Jake O'Brien, who you saw make that diving try a moment ago, at short. Reese DeCastro at third, and then from left to right in the outfield. That ball's over for a strike. Hunter Perkins, Ryan Lawrence, and Cannon Dush. It's a defense behind Orr with a fielding percentage of .954, putting them at about middle of the pack in the Little East Conference. As that throw bounced over to first, and Evan Keegan gets his chest in front of it. Keegan's a big target over there, 6'4", 240, very solidly built. Brookwell does run exceedingly well, second on the team in steals. 7 bases swiped. Has only been hung out to dry once in the first 15 games. As a graduate outfielder, firmly ensconced in the leadoff spot. Looked very good in the preseason. He does have that speed. He can hit to all parts of the field. Another throw over to first, and again, Brookwell back without too much of a fuss. It's Metzdorf bringing up the number 2 spot in the lineup here. Slugging percentage of about 80 points better than anyone else on his team. Pitch comes home, that one hacked into the screen, and the count 1-2. 712 slugging percentage. Metzdorf's got more hits, more RBIs than any other player on this squad, 19 apiece. We mentioned Steve Brookwell's base stealing prowess. Metzdorf, the only one who's stolen more than he has. 9 times he has taken off from the bag, 9 times he has slid into the next one safely. Not to mention 5 doubles and 3 home runs, leading the team in each category. But he's set down here. And now it's Aiden Blake, starting second baseman. Excuse me, apologies. Got the wires crossed. That's going to be a hit by pitch for Metzdorf. Brookwell advances to second. So first and second with nobody out now for UMass Boston. 0-1 pitch to Aiden Blake. Back of the box, crowding the dish. Or with a couple, looks back at Brookwell. Both runners go, and there will be no throw in either spot. A double steal for the Beacons. And not 3 minutes into the game, they've got 2 runners in scoring position with nobody out for Aiden Blake, who has the second most hits on the team, inarguably a top 15 hitter in the conference this season, showing out in his his junior campaign. And with a 1-1 count, Orr comes home. Blake fouls that one down the right field line, hooking over the fence and out of play. Count runs 1-2 now. Orr still looking for his first out of the frame. 2 base runners he's allowed so far, on par with his season average per inning. Has been a little bit wild. 6 wild pitches to his name, but Metzdorf, the first batter he's hit, and now they make him pay with a double steal. Orr comes home, line drive back through the box, base hit. Brookwell comes in to score, and the Beacons, just like that, are on the board in the top of the first. Infield single for Brookwell, hit by pitch from Metzdorf. A double steal, their 8th and 10th steals of the season respectively. And then a clean single up the middle from Aiden Blake plates Brookwell. Runners at the corners now with nobody out. And it's going to be the designated hitter, Kevin Carrera. On-base percentage of .500. Courtesy of a solid batting average. He's up at .333. And a rather prodigious walk rate, despite having fewer at-bats than a lot of the team's most consistent hitters. Thinking Metzdorf, thinking Brookwell, thinking Q. Despite that, Carrera still second on the team in walks. He's got 11 of them on the season, and he takes high and away here for the first ball. One run in already from the Beacons. Fake throw over to first and diving back safely. An absence of a threat is Aiden Blake. He leads off of first. Metzdorf with a shallow lead off of third. Here's the pitch from Orr, low, ball 2. For the Spartan pitching staff, a collective earned run average about 7 3/4. Second worst in the conference. A .338 batting average against. It's not going to do him any favors, to be sure. In fact, that is the highest batting average allowed of any team in the Little East. So UMass Boston with an opportunity to feast today. It's a 3-0 count with runners at the corners now. And that pitch over to Kevin Carrera. Beacon certainly feasted in their last game against Western New England University. The problem was Western New England feasted a little bit more. 28 total runs, and 17 of them going against the Beacons. 3-1 count now. Runner takes off from first. Carrera bunts at it and right behind the plate for a foul. 3-2. Some form of a squeeze play there with the runner in motion from first, with the option, I suppose, to send the speedy Metzdorf home from third should the bunt be missed and catcher Carson Mosher need to make a play. But the count runs full now, and Riley Orr staring down Kevin Carrera. That one's high. 12th walk of the season for Carrera. The bases are juiced now. And it's up to Craig Corliss, senior utility man, starting in the catcher's spot today.
Number 35, Craig Corliss.
It was labeled earlier in the season by his head coach, Brendan Eigerbrod, as the team's top returning hitter. He has faltered a little bit compared to where he started, but still at a respectable .255. That pitch tails low and inside. And Orr has been having a problem getting ahead of hitters. They have either hit the ball early in the at-bat, or like you just saw with Carrera, and a little earlier with Metzdorf before the hit by pitch, he's been falling behind in the count. And what you get now is 17. This will be 18 pitches. There's a ground ball through the left side, base hit. Metzdorf can walk home. Coming all the way around on his way and scoring on a slide into home is Aiden Blake. It's second and third with nobody out and 3 runs in. And the Beacons have poured on the faucet here against Riley Orr and the Castleton Spartans. Five consecutive batters have reached. 3 of them by hits, 1 by a walk, 1 by a hit by a pitch in no particular order. And now the hottest hitter on the roster strolls to the dish. It's Luke Levitt. Carries, albeit in a slightly lesser sample size, the highest average of any Beacon. The 7th highest batting average in the Little East Conference as a whole, and he takes ball 1 outside from Riley Orr. Second and third now. Orr fires high and away. Mosher calls time. He wants to talk to his pitcher. You can see a lot of these pitches tailing high and away, particularly to the lefties. More just a calm you down sort of chat there. And it's been happening on the fastballs, which on some level you expect if a pitcher's overthrowing the ball a little bit. The release point isn't where they want it to be, but it's been happening with the breaking stuff too. And that inability to establish a first pitch strike has been a little bit of trouble for him in the early going. Orr comes home. That one's over, but low. And another 3-0 count. Kevin Carrera from third. Craig Corliss at second. After a single and advancing to second on the throw that came all the way home. 3 in, 3-0 count. Inside. Oh, no. Looked like it was inside as it chased Luke Levitt a step back in the box, but it just nibbled at the outside half, or the inner half, excuse me, says the home plate umpire Jonathan Jordan. And a 3-1 count we have. Line drive center field. Could this one hang up? Diving catch in center by Ryan Lawrence. Spectacular play, and it limits what could have been a 2 RBI hit, or worse if it gets by him, to a loud line drive sacrifice fly. And so the first player to be retired is the hottest hitter in the UMass Boston Beacons lineup. He's retired on a web gem in center from Lawrence. But the run comes in as Carrera scores. And with finally 1 out of the inning now, but 4 runs in, and Craig Corliss still at second. The batter is Jake Waltman, who lifts that one high in the right center field. Coming over, converging, is the right fielder Dush to make a catch. Tricky coming into the sun, and Corliss easily tags and advances to third. There's 2 factors at play here. One is the sun, which is not quite completely overhead. Can be playing with the outfielders a little bit. The other is that the wind is blowing rather stiffly out toward dead right field. You can take a look at it on your screen. You can see the flags in right center field almost ironed out toward the foul pole. Now it's Gianni Zerilli Jr., the shortstop, hitting in the number 8 spot with 2 out and a 5th run just 90 feet away. He swings and misses as that one tails low and in. It's the only way the first pitch strike has been getting over for Riley Orr is when the hitters bite at it. And Zerilli obliges. Zerilli, the junior infielder, starting in the shortstop position today. One of only 2 players on this Beacons roster to have hit multiple home runs this season. And he swings and misses at another one, a little bit behind. And the first 0-2 count of the day for Riley Orr. And despite a very rocky first inning, 1 strike away from stranding Corliss at third. So really swings, hacks that one off, sailing high off the parking structure, off the 4th floor of the parking structure, down the right field line, and the count remains 0-2. Zerrilli was hitting .400 through the first few games of the season, has returned to earth since, but has been a valuable contributor no matter where he's been in the lineup. Pitch comes, it's a fastball high and a little bit away. 1-2. Zerrilli crowding the plate. Here's the pitch. Chipped off toward the Castleton dugout. Count stays 1-2. And Zerrilli, after falling behind, has continued his free swinging ways, but has tightened up enough to stay alive. Orr still looking for his first strikeout. The only 2 outs have come on that line drive to dead center that prompted a spectacular catch from Ryan Lawrence and that fly ball that the wind picked up and carried in a deep right. That pitch tails off the plate, held onto it a little bit too long, it looked like, and missed his spot. 2-2. One of the only extended at-bats we've seen. We've seen 1 3-2 count. That was the one that resulted in a walk for Kevin Carrera. 2 out, 2-2 pitch now. Zerrilli swings, pops that one high on the infield, mile high. Jake O'Brien settling underneath it and making the basket catch. So finally the side is retired, but not before the Beacons plate 4 runs in the top of the first. Brookwell, Metzdorf, Blake, Carrera all coming around to score. And at the end of a half inning, 4-0 UMass Boston. Well, I mentioned before the game started that this one's a little bit of an oddity because the game's been rescheduled from Castleton's field to Monin Park. Castleton remains the designated home team. That's why UMass Boston, for the first time in a while, led off the game in their own field. And that's why, for the first time on his own field, Alex Amalfi is taking the mound for the first time with a 4-run cushion in hand. There's an infield single from Steve Brookwell, hit by a pitch for Metzdorf, single for Aiden Blake to plate Brookwell, a walk for Carrera to load the bases, and a 2-run single for Craig Corliss to bring another couple of runs home. Luke Levitt with a sac fly to center to plate Carrera, and here we stand. The Beacons, after scoring 11 runs in their last game and losing, and scoring 7 runs the game before that and losing as well, started to do all they can. You can see the stats over there for Alex Amalfi. It's been a stellar season so far to kick off. It's been a stellar season, for that matter, building on top of a stellar season. And now we'll tuck into a Castleton Spartan diet here as the corner Drew Metzdorf pinches up against the leadoff man. Amalfi comes home, swinging and a miss. Leadoff man is Hunter Perkins. hitless in the season opener against Virginia Wesleyan, and then a 13-game hit streak since then. Chips that one off at the plate in the count 0-2. He's hitting .314 on the season. 16 hits, third best on the team. 14 runs batted in, lead the squad. His run total not far behind. 0-2 pitch from Amalfi. Ground ball sharply hit to the hole. Diving stop, Zerilli pops to his feet and couldn't get a handle on the ball. It was going to be a very difficult play for Gianni Zerilli regardless. Perkins runs fairly well. And just as Brookwell did in the top half of the frame, the leadoff man reaches on an infield single that splits the seam between third and short. The lineup for head coach Ted Shipley's squad looks about like this. Hunter Perkins, the left fielder, to lead it off. Reese DeCastro, the splendid hitting third baseman, takes high and in here. He's in the second spot. Carson Mosher, the catcher, is on deck. In the cleanup spot, it's the second baseman Tyler McLean, followed by the shortstop Jake O'Brien, and the first baseman Evan Keegan. And then the bottom third, Jackson Cardozo, the designated hitter, Cannon Dush, the right fielder, and Ryan Lawrence, the center fielder, whose heroic diving catch in the top half of the frame probably kept some extra UMass Boston runs off the board. Runner on now, 1-1 to Reese DeCastro. Oh, off-speed pitch just catches a piece of the outside edge. 1-2. For DeCastro, a .431 batting average outpaces everyone UMass Boston has to offer. He slashes that one into the right center field gap. That thing's going to get down and split the gap all the way to the wall. Perkins makes the turn at third. He's on his way home. The throw comes in that direction, and he is in. Slide pointing to the heavens, and two batters in. Castleton with a run on the board. Reese DeCastro, his team leading sixth double of the season. He's 8th in the Little East Conference in batting average, 7th in hits, and you can see why. Oh, can you ever? It's Carson Mosher now. .368 hitter out of the number 3 spot. The issue more is balance with this Castleton lineup than anything else, as Mosher fouls the first pitch back. The team as a whole hitting .244, good for 7th in the conference, 6th in on-base percentage, 8th in slugging. This is out of 9 LEC teams. There is no offensive category where they're higher than 5th in the conference. And yet, they boast a number of very skilled, high-performing hitters. Jake O'Brien, who we have not yet seen in the lineup today, .354 average. You saw Reese DeCastro at .431. Carson Mosher hitting at .368. Hunter Perkins, who just scored at .314. Consistency, depth is maybe an issue, but the top-end talent is very much there within the Spartan lineup. Mosher's in an 0-2 hole now after a couple of foul balls. Castleton has plated one. They've got another runner in scoring position. It's Reese DeCastro, who's stolen 4 out of 6. And the catcher, Carson Mosher, hitting in the number 3 spot. Trying to challenge Amalfi and now down 0-2. Swing and a miss, and down he goes. 27th strikeout of the season and first of the day for Alex Amalfi. And with 1 out, the batter is Tyler McLean, the second baseman.
The second baseman, number 15, Tyler McLean.
McLean hitting .333, albeit in slightly lesser volume, and has been an on-base menace. Thus point. Fastball off the plate, 1-0. Amalfi's got a lot in his arsenal. Fastball 90 to 94 miles an hour. Big breaking ball, a changeup. 3 very good, high-quality pitches. But Castleton gets to him early in the first, and he's nibbling at the outer half of the zone with a fastball here. Malfi's got a whip just a tick north of 1. Been pretty unforgiving, but Castleton has made up some ground on him already. He's holding opponents to a 172 batting average. Second best on the Beacons. Stacks up pretty favorably in Little East Conference rankings, too. Third among qualified players, with only Brian Albee of Eastern Connecticut and his teammate Dylan Ryan ahead of him. That one's popped over the UMass Boston dugout and caroming over to the grass. And it will remain a 2-strike count. McLean trying to drive in Reese DeCastro from second base. And if he can't do it, Jake O'Brien in the number 5 spot's going to get a chance. 2-2 pitch. Close take on a 2-2 count, and McLean earns the count even. Infield single from Perkins. DeCastro splits the gap in right center field to plate him. And then Amalfi blows a fastball by Carson Mosher for a strikeout. 3-2 pitch to Tyler McLean. High. And McLean will take his base. Just his second walk of the season in his 10th game. And with 2 on and 1 out, it's Jake O'Brien, the shortstop. 6-foot junior out of Waterbury, Vermont. Second on the team in hits, in on-base percentage, and runs batted in doubles. Ties Ryan Lawrence for the team lead in walks. So maybe a little bit less pop from a middle infielder in the middle of the batting order. But with an on-base percentage elite enough to make him a reliable threat in that lineup position. So Amalfi in a jam with run plated already, and coaxes a foul ball out of the hot-hitting shortstop. 0-1. DeCastro at second has stolen 4 out of 6. McLean at first has not tried a stolen base this season. Malfi comes home high and maybe a little bit tight. 1-1. That ball's chopped foul, 1-2. The defense behind Amalfi was a 964 fielding percentage, good for third best in the conference. It looks this way. It's Luke Levitt, Steve Brookwell, Ethan Herrera from left field to right. Around the horn in the infield, third to first, Drew Metzdorf, Gianni Zarilli, Aiden Blake, and Jake Woltman. And he's got Craig Corliss behind the dish catching him. 1-2 pitch. That one's high. And Amalfi, a little bit like Orr, missing in some key spots. Orr needed 30 pitches, and given that he gave up 4 runs, you suppose it could have been worse. But 30 pitches, 18 of them for strikes. That includes the balls that UMass Boston fouled off or put into play. Amalfi, this is going to be pitch number 22, and it's in the opposite batter's box. 3-2 now. O'Brien, as we mentioned, perfectly content to take a walk here and load the bases for Evan Keegan, the first baseman, standing on deck. Albeit Evan Keegan has had a down-hitting year so far. 3-2 pitch to Jake O'Brien. High. And another walk issued by Amalfi, and this time the bases are juiced for the number 6 hitter, Evan Keegan. We have a meeting on the mound here. As Amalfi having some trouble doing what he wants to. We mentioned how good a season he's been having. It's worth mentioning that his prior 4 starts, the worst one, if you can call it that, was 2 innings against MIT in his second start of the season where he gave up 2 earned runs and was chased from the game after just 48 pitches. UMass Boston lost that one 6-1. The others, he's done pretty well, and against WestCon last week, 7 innings, 7 shutout innings, 1 hit and 2 walks, the only blemishes, 8 strikeouts.
Keegan.
But he's in a spot of trouble now. Big hook, but it stays high. 1-0. What he really wants here would be the double play, and UMass Boston has forced 10 of those, 3rd most in the conference. It's 10 double plays across 15 games. Breaking ball catches the lower half. 1-1. Keegan hitting just 135 on the season. Yet to have an extra base hit. 18 strikeouts against just 4 walks and 7 hits. And he's played in all 14 of their games. He started 11 of them. And what a time it would be for a big hit. 2-1. Ground ball, weak dribbler, Amalfi off the mound to snatch it, fires to first, gets his man. But a run comes in to score, and it is now 4-2 in favor of the Beacons. Was hit too weakly for Amalfi to come home with it. It was a good location to make the throw, I suppose, but not a good location to field.
Number 46, Jackson Cardozo.
The freshman outfielder Jackson Cardozo steps to the dish now. 208 average on the season. This is his 7th start out of 14 games. And yet still tied with Jake O'Brien and Ryan Lawrence for the most walks on the team. So the walks really propping up big portions of this Castleton Spartans order. Frame job by Corliss, not convincing the home plate umpire Jonathan Jordan, and the count 1-1. A base hit here could tie the game. Amalfi looking to preserve as much of his cushion as possible. Pulls that one outside. 2-1. Amalfi taking his time, getting his sign, winds, fires. High, 3-1. First base is open here, and that's got to be about the only comfort. As Amalfi falling behind again. 3-1 pitch. Ball 4. The 3rd walk of the inning for Castleton. And now it's up to Cannon Dush, sophomore outfielder.
Number 7, Cannon Dush.
And this is an ever bigger spot. Dush crowding the plate right from the jump. Off-speed pitch sails high. And Amalfi, despite giving up only 2 runs so far, has already thrown more pitches than Riley Orr did. 33 in the first inning. Pitch number 34 catches the plate. 1-1. For Amalfi, an inability to get back on the horse and pitch efficiently is going to force head coach Brendan Eigebrodt to the pen. earlier than he might have liked. And that one's over for strike 2. Same goes for Riley Orr and his head coach, Ted Shipley. Shipley in his 23rd season. You got more than 40 years of combined coaching experience here between these two guys. 1-2 pitch now. Ooh, good layoff there from Dush. And the count 2-2. Bases juiced. 2 out, 2 in, 2-2 pitch to Cannon Dush. Swing and a miss, and down he goes. Second strikeout of the inning. And a laborious inning though it was, Alex Amalfi gets out of trouble with only 2 runs scored. A lengthy and eventful first inning for both sides. 6 runs combined on the board, and we will be right back from Monin Park. It's the 9-1-2 hitters to get things going in the top of the second inning for UMass Boston. Ethan Herrera, the right fielder. Then back to the top for Steve Brookwell and Drew Metzdorf. First pitch over for a strike. Herrera has pitched 6 innings and given up 3 earned runs, but he's getting the start in right field today where he has been, well, he's been pretty good. .333 batting average to his name, 10 hits. Slugging percentage up above .530. The only knock against him as a hitter, I suppose, is not even the discipline. He takes over, 1-2. Hasn't been the discipline. He's got almost as many walks as he does strikeout. It's more been the stealing. 1 stolen base, and he's been caught 4 times. Reaches out and gets a piece of that one to stay alive. Thing was all the way over the plate and past it by the time he got the bat head to it. But serviceable innings out of the pen and a reliable bat in the lineup. Got a home run to his name this season as well. Certainly a meaningful contributor for this squad in the early going, and the big hook over the inner half. What a pitch from Riley Orr. Big league backdoor. And now we go back to Brookwell. For the first time today, the leadoff man in the inning is retired.
The center fielder, number 21, Steve Brookwell.
Brookwell doesn't offer at the first pitch and pays the price for it. 0-1. Orr comes home. He's working a little bit faster and a little bit more aggressively, dare we say, than in the opening frame. When a couple of quick UMass Boston base runners put him on the ropes, perhaps prompting him to pitch more cautiously. Brookwell swings right through that one, 1-2. Infield single and a run scored his first time up. Half of a double steal sandwiched in between those actions. 1-2, big hook, tried to backdoor again, and this one missed. 2-2. Brookwell chips that one off the handle, stays at 2-2. In college baseball newspapers, one of their players to watch before the season. To earn that honor, like everyone else, getting a full season to play after an abbreviated COVID year last year. Ooh, did he hold up? Yes, he did, and the ball runs into the dirt as the count runs full. Infield playing him at normal depth. Reaches out, pokes that one, sailing foul. Into the top layer, the second to top layer of the parking lot. Brookwell, 7 extra base hits so far this season. 4 doubles, 3 triples. There's a fly ball poked into center field. Lawrence moved in and then moving back for the second out. First 2 men retired, and now it's Drew Metzdorf.
The third baseman, number 4, Drew Metzdorf.
Metzdorf started his college career at UMass Amherst, 2018. 14 at-bats, got 2 hits in that time. Spent his next couple of years at Plymouth State University, a LEC foe, excuse me, for UMass Boston. That pitch over for a strike. During his time at Plymouth State, 346, 31 runs batted in just 36 games. Oh, what a hook. Riley Orr has found the depth with a breaking ball, and he sits him down 1-2-3 with a pair of strikeouts in the top of the second.
Number 1, Ryan.
Both of our starters today spent the first inning allowing base runners, getting hesitant, missing their spots, and maybe not trusting their stuff as much as they otherwise would. Riley Orr very much got back on the hump. There's a run-up bunt. It's going right back to Amalfi, bare hands, and throws to first in time to nab Ryan Lawrence for the first out. Riley Orr rediscovered his mojo. 3 outs in order on a lazy fly ball and a pair of strikeouts, both of them on a gorgeous breaking ball for strike 3.
Number 26,
But Alex Amalfi missing his spots in the first inning. Had some trouble. Faced the same number of hitters as Orr despite allowing half as many runs. And now here he is to try to clean up the damage. Was gifted a bunt out from the leadoff man, Lawrence, and now we go to the top of the order for the outfielder, Hunter Perkins. Mentioned earlier that Perkins is working on a 13-game hit streak in this one. In fact, with that hit in the first inning, he made it 14 games. Malfi comes home on the 2-0. That one's low for ball 3. But just as curious, when you think about hitting streaks that long, it's usually because the guy's hitting 400 or something in that neighborhood. It's usually because he's getting multiple hits in some of the games. Not so for Perkins. That one's over for a strike, 3-1. Perkins, if you include today's game, has notched a hit in 14 straight games. In only one of those games has he had multiple hits. Walks, oh, and a big, dramatic bat flip toward the on-deck circle. Not sure if he was a little displeased with a pitch coming a bit close to the tip of his helmet, or if he's just being a little theatrical. But either way, he works a walk. As you see these hitting streaks, you usually see, you look down the hits column, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3, 2, 4, 1. You see a mix. You don't see a straight line of ones with 1 4-hit day right smack in the middle. Fly ball in the left field, very playable for Levitt, who runs up to make the grab. 1 pitch, 1 out. As Reese DeCastro, the dangerous Reese DeCastro, is retired before we could even introduce him. And with 2 outs now, and Hunter Perkins on first after the walk, the batter will be the catcher, Carson Mosher. Struck out against Amalfi his first time up. In fact, was the only hitter Amalfi looked particularly assertive against, because he got ahead of him 0-2 last time. And fires a fastball off the edge for ball 1 to lead off the second AB. It's a 43-minute first inning, all said and done. This one, at least to this point, has been much quicker. And Amalfi trying to match Riley Orr's goose egg. Oh, there's a curveball. A big one for strike 1. High pop fly. Is this one going to stay in playable territory? Yes, it will for Drew Metzdorf. Oh, it falls! Oh, my goodness. The sun and the wind and a misplay combine for an E5, and the inning will continue. Drew Metzdorf, normally pretty sure-handed at third base, lets that one fall. And so a gift base runner for the Spartans. And now Tyler McLean, who walked his last time up, started the walk parade for the Spartans in the bottom of the first inning, is going to have another chance with a runner in scoring position and 2 out. And he chips the first one foul off to the right. And even if Amalfi gets out of this, he cannot be happy about having to throw any more pitches. It's 51 degrees, sunny and windy out here. As pop-ups go, I suppose that's a hard one to play, but a pop-up is a pop-up. Corliss thought about a back pick there, but he didn't have a target at first base to throw to, and he holds on to the ball. One and one. Malfi checks the runner at second a couple of times. Winds and throws outside, and McLean laid off of it, 2-1. Metzdorf playing just a smidge back at third. Aiden Blake right on the outer edge of the infield grass. Malfi's going to make sure he's got the sign right. 2-1. Fly ball smacked into center field. Long run for Brookwell, but it's ultimately... Oh, we lost it in the sun! It falls in front of Herrera. 2 runs will score, and we are all even at 4 runs apiece. It looked initially like it was going to be Brookwell's ball. The wind blew it over to Herrera. And in the sunshine, he couldn't pick it out. Not sure if it was an issue of tracking it off the bat, because from the jump, it did seem as though it was going to be Brookwell's, but that little bit of slice to the right that McLean naturally put on the ball wound up turning into a full-on windswept Taylor all the way over to dead right center. 4-4 in the second. And Alex Amalfi got to be really infuriated now. The dropped pop-up, an error charge to Metzdorf. That dropped fly ball, like dropped flies, balls lost in the sun often go, scored a double. So 2 unearned runs coming home in the frame. But the defense behind Alex Amalfi, rather unforgiving in the early going. 2 unearned runs, even the score. And the big advantage that UMass Boston had over Castleton, particularly in the pitching, has so far not reflected on the scoreboard. Corliss thought that one was a called strike 3, but the umpire disagrees. 1-2. Malfi checks his runner. Oh, and a bad swing there out of O'Brien as Amalfi reared back for some extra heat. 2 unearned runs, even the score at 4. And at the end of 2, that's where we stand. A dropped pop-up and a sun double key a 2-run bottom of the second for the Castleton Spartans. And over 2 innings, they have matched that onslaught that UMass Boston put up against Riley Orr in the top of the first. 4-4 the score from Monin. And Aiden Blake, Kevin Carrera, Craig Corliss, the 3-4-5 hitters in the Beacons order, facing off against Riley Orr, who found himself in the top of the second after a painful top of the first. 2 strikeouts in the top of the second, both of them on that big hook. But he goes 3-0 right away on Aiden Blake. And Blake takes a close strike one. That one's going to miss. Couple inches down and away from the spot the last one landed in. Aiden Blake has reached for the second time, first on a hit, now on a walk. He's got a run scored and a run driven in, too. His whole stat line's just a never-ending stream of ones. And now Kevin Carrera, who walked his last time up and came around to score, will step to the plate. Hacks that one over to the soccer field down the left field line and landing in the... Oh, it's almost a goal for him. 0-1. Or coming into this game, earned run average of 9.15, and by virtue of some subpar rate stats and a lot of volume, Blake, takes off for second, but that's flied into left field. It's going to be blown down a little bit for DeCastro to make the catch running up, and Blake scampers back to first. For Orr, the run to hit the walk totals have placed him in the sort of company you don't necessarily want to be in. 13 walks coming in, tied for most in the conference. 35 hits, third most. The run total, not even earned run average, mind you, although the earned run average is third worst among qualifying pitchers, as that one gets away. Blake is going all the way down to second, and that's going to be an easy advance. But the run total, it's given up more runs than all but one pitcher. This is what comes from having thrown more innings. And he has been good in spots. But it's been a tough year for Riley Orr. It was a tough start for today. And after a splendid second inning, he's starting to wonder how he's going to deal with the teeth of the UMass Boston lineup again. So the wild pitch sends Blake to second. That one's high. Carson Mosher wants another word with his pitcher. It's Craig Corliss at the dish now. 2 RBIs on the single he had 2 innings ago. And was ultimately stranded at third when Zerilli was retired to end the frame. Two 2-0, Orr fires home. That one's right over the heart of the plate for a strike. 2-1. Both teams 4 runs. Both teams have got 4 hits. For Castleton, benefiting a little bit from some subpar defense, but both teams with multiple walks. 4 for Castleton, 2 for UMass Boston. That one tails in beautifully to stay on the corner. And the count 2-2. So whatever Carson Mosher told him in that little conference seems to be working so far. Aiden Blake standing out there on second base. He's stolen 2 out of 3. UMass Boston's got some quality speed up and down the lineup. Not evenly concentrated to be sure, but enough of it. Laser down the left field line for Corliss. That one is a foul ball. So Corliss very nearly missing his third double of the season. And what would be his 17th run batted in. Instead, is going to have to step back into the box with a 2-2 count. Two. Or turns and fakes back. Second fake throw he has tried today. Nobody there to field the throw, not really. And Blake taking a more modest lead right now, as the shortstop, Jake O'Brien, circles in behind him. So does the second baseman. They go back to their spots. And now you wonder how much having the runner on second is taking up Riley Orr's concentration. Corliss backs out of the box now. A lengthy at-bat in this one. This is going to be pitch number 7 for the big catcher out of Hopkinton, Mass. Making Riley Orr work the same way the Spartans have been making Alex Amalfi work. Orr comes home. Corliss lays off. Another walk for UMass Boston, their third of the afternoon. And with 2 men on now, it will be Luke Levitt to the plate. When Levitt came up his last time, 5 Beacons in a row had reached base to lead off the game. The only reason Levitt didn't join him was because of that wonderful diving catch by Ryan Lawrence in center field. Outside and low, 1-0. Blake leading from, Blake leading from second, Corliss from first. We're taking his time now, holding the ball with runners on base. That pitch high and tight, but nibbles the high, tight corner. Strike one. All knotted up at 4 runs apiece in a game that started about offense. And then the defense kind of slipped off to keep the offense in business. That's going to be a swing from Levitt. Couldn't really make up his mind in the count 1-2. Orr finally comes home. Ground ball. Foul. Levitt's going to get another try here. Has not played as much as some of the other heavy hitters on this squad. This is just his 13th appearance out of the 15 games, but more importantly, only his 5th start with a sophomore outfielder. And yet, with a decent sample size, his on-base percentage still second best on the team. Line drive, left field. It's gonna drop. The bases are loaded. Station to station they go. And the batter will be Jake Woltman. The ball hung up long enough that Corliss, going first to second, and Blake, going second and third, needed to wait to see where it was going to fall.
The first baseman, number 38, Jake Woltman.
Now here's Woltman. Retired his first time up. Takes a strike to the dismay of the UMass Boston bench. They thought it was high. Woltman hitting .310 on the season. Starting at first base today. 6'3", 225-pound freshman out of faraway Encinitas, California. That one's over for a strike, and again the bench not liking it. Not liking where home plate umpire Jonathan Jordan has been drawing the upper boundary. Both of those pitches close, to be sure. Woltman has struck out 12 times this season against 5 walks. And time at the plate. Oh, and 2. Woltman takes high this time in the count 1-2. A big spot for the Beacons. They have yet to put up a goose egg on defense. And with that, the momentum seemingly having ebbed after that 4th spot in the first, they're looking to prove to Riley Orr that he can't settle in so easily. Orr comes home, Woltman gets a piece to stay alive. One and 2 after the foul ball. Aiden Blake leading from third, Craig Corliss from second, Luke Levitt from first. Jake Woltman at the dish, 0 of 1 today, 1 out, and facing a 1-2 count from Riley Orr. Right-hander comes set, winds, fires outside. Beacons have gotten a little more disciplined this inning about not nibbling at those pitches away and not letting him set up that backdoor hook that he used to such great effect in the last inning. Now Jake Woltman's telling him, "No, you're going to have to throw me something good." Will Orr oblige him? High hook. Count runs full and nowhere to put him. On deck is the shortstop, Gianni Zerilli. Swing and a miss. The off speed got him. 4th strikeout of the day for Riley Orr, and it could not have come in a bigger spot. With 2 out now and the bases still loaded, Gianni Zerilli retired with a runner on base his last time up.
The shortstop, number 3, Gianni Cirelli, Jr.
Still a chance for the Beacons to do some major damage before it turns over to the Castleton half of the inning. And it's up to Zerilli. Doesn't offer at the first pitch this time, but even as the ball gets away, a strike is called. You've got to have almost a dead center strike to have it called on a play like that when the catcher drops the pitch. It makes it very easy for the umpire to assume if it's anywhere near an edge that it must have been off that edge. But that pitch with some movement to the heart of the plate and earns a strike call despite the drop, 0-1. Infield playing a little bit pinched in to cut down the runners a smidge. Fastball's high, ball 1. Beacons 11-4 on the season. Castleton 5-8-1. Castleton dropped their first couple of conference games. They were playing EastCon. You can't really blame him. Fly ball right field. Wind's blowing this toward the line. Oh, and a nice catch on the run from Cannon Dush. With the ball tailing away from him, he never lost his step on it. And the Beacons leave him loaded in the top of the third.
Leading off for the Spartans.
Evan Keegan, Jackson Cardozo, and Cannon Dush in the bottom of the third for Castleton against Alex Amalfi, who ceded 2 runs in the first and stranded the bases loaded. That you can blame on the control issues. And then ceded 2 runs in the second unearned that you can blame on the defensive woes behind him. Drew Metzdorf dropping the pop-up. That one is an error. Ethan Herrera losing a fly ball in the wind and the sun on him, but went down in the scorebook as a double. 1-2 the count. Amalfi fires and beans him. Got ahead in the count and missed his spot in a bad way. So Evan Keegan gets some form of a free pass down to first. And another base runner reaches with nobody out.
The designated hitter.
For Amalfi, 2 of the 3 leadoff hitters have reached. It was an infield single in the first, off the bat of Hunter Perkins to extend his hitting streak to 14 games. And now the hit by pitch in the third. The only time it didn't happen was when a bunt came back to Amalfi. Oh, man. What a pitch to come back with. Jackson Cardozo watches you bean his teammate and then shrinks back at the plate from a hook that finds the inside edge. That's a gutsy pitch to throw. That's trust in your stuff. Comes inside with a heater, and Cardozo smacks it off the handle foul. 0-2. So Amalfi not letting the lapse in control get to him in the first couple pitches of this at-bat. So he's already ahead of Cardozo, who he walked in the first inning. Fastball outside. Corliss barking some instructions out at his pitcher. Amalfi 3 strikeouts to this point. Line drive, fair down the right field line and rolling all the way into the corner. Coming around third and being held up is Keegan. And with runners in second and third and nobody out, the Spartans threatening again. It's Cannon Dush, the right fielder now. Retired with the bases loaded in the first to end the inning. And then with UMass Boston having the bases loaded in the top of the third, he made a nice catch on the run as the wind tried to yank the ball away from him and toward the spot where his teammate Cardozo just hit it. Keegan at third, Cardozo at second, Cannon Dush to the plate now. Amalfi got him on strikes the last time. Dush takes a monster swing through that one and comes up with nothing. 0-1. For Dush, 6th start of the season, 7th appearance, .222 average. He's got only 4 hits to his name and no walks. He has, however, struck out 8 times. Make it 9 in his last at-bat. Castleton coming into this one, 7th in the conference. Make of that what you will. This is after a weekend's worth of games. The run differential on the season of -24 across their 14 games. Amalfi comes home with a 1-1, chipped foul into the backstop, 1-2. UMass Boston, on the other hand, has played 15 games with a run differential of +58. Outperforming their spot in the poll by 1 at this point. Castleton right where the poll said they'd be so far. But in fairness, uneven opponents. Amalfi comes home with a 1-2, swing and a miss, and Dush is down on strikes for the second time. But in fairness here, UMass Boston did play the lighter hitting, shall we say, WestCon. While Castleton had to tangle with an EastCon team projected by most, I suppose, including the coaches who filled out the preseason ballots to finish atop the conference this season. So Amalfi downs Dush on strikes, and with 1 out and 2 runners still in scoring position with first base open, the batter is Ryan Lawrence, who bunted back to the pitcher in an attempt for a single his last time up. Wines fires, swing and a miss, and didn't get too close to that one as it dove to the outer edge. 1-1. Infield pinched in a little bit, particularly at the corners. Metzdorf even with the bag at third. There's another bunt from Lawrence. This one goes foul. We've got Keegan coming home from third. He is not the speediest. Has not tried a stolen base this season. 6'4", 240 pounds, a big guy, but capable enough to play outfield. Not the speediest, but not your no slow poke either. 1-2 pitch. Swinging away and swinging through it is Ryan Lawrence. Back-to-back strikeouts for Amalfi. And now only Hunter Perkins standing between him and escaping the inning unscathed. Perkins, infield single his first time up, a walk his second time against Amalfi.
Number 26, Hunter Perkins.
His average up around 320. And he has driven in 14 runs, more than anyone else on the Spartans squad this season. And calls time at the plate. Junior outfielder, shining so far this season. And now Amalfi steps off. Comes set, comes home. Fly ball poked down the left field line and out of play. Beware pedestrians walking out on the track outside the Boston College High School field. Combo soccer football field over there. It's a nice day for the walk if you can tolerate the wind that's blowing the flags out toward Ethan Herrera in right field. 0-1 pitch. Amalfi fires, just missed with a fastball. Castleton trying to snatch an upset game from UMass Boston here. A base hit here goes a long way toward doing that. 1-1. Fly ball, right center field. Brookwell and Herrera converging on it. It's Herrera. He stumbles and recovers for the catch. Ethan Herrera comes inches from another costly misstep in right center field, but gets his footing just in time and helps Alex Amalfi post his first scoreless frame of the day. The end of 3, 4-4 all. Ethan Herrera taking ball 1 here. He's leading it off, followed by Steve Brookwell and Drew Metzdorf in the top of the 4th for UMass Boston. A couple of scoreless innings behind them after the 4 spot in the first inning. Chopped to short. Fielded on a couple of bounces there by O'Brien. Across the diamond in time. By about half a step, the throw beat the hustling Herrera, as O'Brien, with a good clock, waited back on it and fired a strong throw off his back foot.
The center fielder, number 21, Steve Brookwell.
Brookwell now, infield single, and scored a run his first time around. Set down his second time. Bohr working faster now. Quickly gets up 0-2 on the speedy center fielder. Brookwell, the Heightstown, New Jersey, in his graduate season, is showing the expertise he's picked up over his years at the college level. Lays off that one. The 2-strike hitting has been one of those game elements that Brendan Eigerbrot says his team struggled with in the 2021 season, with the reduced practice time, not as many reps as they're used to. It was difficult. Brookwell chips that one foul, still 1-2. He said he wants authoritative hitting, but he wants resiliency with 2 strikes. And walking that balance, not an easy thing to do when you are down on the number of reps, when you're not playing quite as many games. But a chance for a fuller schedule and the practice run-up time that they wanted this season. He's expecting it to show. Line drive by Brookwell into center field. It's going to drop. He's got himself a hit. He's on his way to second, rounding. Oh! Afterburners for Steve Brookwell. And he turns a single into a double with 1 out. He never stopped, never questioned it for a second. Just a shade toward left center, and the center fielder playing just a shade toward right center. And that was all the incentive Brookwell needed. Drew Metzdorf now, with a chance to drive him in and regain the lead that the Beacons won in the top of the first. On a line drive into left field, this one's going to fall in front of the left fielder, Hunter Perkins. Brookwell comes home, scores standing up. Metzdorf takes second on the throw, and on the first pitch of the AB, Drew Metzdorf comes through with an RBI. 5-4 Beacons in the top of the fourth.
The second baseman, number 9, Aiden Blake.
Aiden Blake now, with a hit, an RBI, and a run scored his first time up, a walk his second time. It's officially scored as a single, an RBI single from Metzdorf. He advances to second on the throw. Aiden Blake flies that one into right field. Going back on it is Dush to make the catch. Tagging and going to third is Metzdorf. And with 2 out, the batter will be Kevin Carrera. You can see out there Dush having a little bit of trouble with it. It's the mixture of the sun and the wind that has plagued both right fielders today, although Dush has certainly been more sure-handed out there than Ethan Herrera has. Carrera, another guy with a walk today. The runs scored as well. Kevin Carrera, the designated hitter in this one. With another run on third base and 2 out, he takes strike 1 on the low outside edge. Infield playing at about normal depth, save for the third baseman DeCastro, who's pinched in a little bit. Big swing there at a ball tailing toward the outer edge, and the count 1-2. So UMass Boston snatches a run back. Brookwell stretches a line drive single into a double. Metzdorf singles him home, advances to second on the throw to the plate, and now sits at third after a fly ball from Aiden Blake moved him there. 1-2 pitch to Carrera, swings right through it. And so the Beacons get one strand one at the end of 3.5, excuse me. It's 5-4 UMass Boston. The uber dangerous Reese DeCastro to lead it off. Carson Mosher, Tyler McLean to follow against Alex Amalfi. Coming into the fourth inning after his first goose egg, although you can't necessarily blame him for the 2 unearned runs in the second inning. Drop pop-up, a dropped fly ball. Line drive left field over the head of Zerillian for a clean base hit. And DeCastro's got his second knock of the day. Guy comes into this game hitting .431. He's now got a team-leading 24 hits and has cemented his status in the top 10 in the LEC in that category. Excuse me. I'm still used to different things. Nobody out, 1 on. Line drive, left center field. Is this one going to hang up long enough? Oh! What a catch by Luke Levitt. They throw over to first. Double play! And the defense that was missing in the first 3 innings comes through in a major way for UMass Boston. Oh my goodness. Doesn't get much better than that. And after the leadoff hit, the threat is neutralized, and with 2 out in the inning, Alex Amalfi finally the beneficiary of some fine defense. Fouls off the first pitch at the plate, does Tyler McLean, in the count 0-1. It wasn't just the catch itself, as that one's fouled off. It was at the manner in which Levitt covered the ground out there, and the way he slid enabled him to get up fairly quickly from that slide. I mean, he must have slid at least 10, 15 feet. And he needed every bit of that time cushion to get the ball back in and earn that double play. So K for Amalfi ends things. And an inning that looked promising for the Spartans dissolves in an instant on a spectacular sliding catch from Luke Levitt in left field. To the 5th we go. UMass Boston still clinging to a 1-run lead. Craig Corliss to lead it off, taking strike 1 on the tailing breaking ball. He's got Luke Levitt on deck behind him, Jake Woltman in the hole behind him. And UMass Boston trying to build on the momentum defensively from their last inning. That one's poked into right field, tailing a little bit away from Cannon Dush, but the wind has calmed down enough to make that a slightly easier play. Flag's not quite as ironed out as they were, but nevertheless, it's still a fairly stiff wind blowing out there. The lefty pull hitters ought to benefit one way or the other. The righties are going to have some trouble trying to pull the ball to the wall. We have not seen one yet. Orr comes home on the first pitch. Levitt chips it off the end of the bat toward the backstop, 0-1. Both pitchers have settled in somewhat. The runs Orr gave up in the last inning, or the run rather, came rather quickly. There's a couple of clean line drives to the outfield, but not a whole lot more than that. And of course, we haven't seen anybody really hit the ball in the screws here. There's a line drive. Quick hop. It gets through the second baseman, McLean, and into right field. It's going to be scored as a single for Levitt. It was a makeable play for Tyler McLean at second base, albeit a very difficult one. And so it goes down as a base hit.
The first baseman, number 38, Jake Waltman.
And now it's Jake Waltman with a man on and a man out. Throw over to first, diving back as Levitt got a little bit of a late break for it, but still with plenty of time. Waltman hitless with a strikeout in 2 trips. I'm counting on him for some pop out of the 7 spot. And a chance now to string something together with the bottom of the order that has not hit particularly well. Luke Levitt's got 2 hits in the number 6 spot and an RBI. The bottom 3 spots in the order 0 of 6 today with 2 strikeouts. And they've collectively stranded 4 runners on base. So if they can't pick up the torch here, it's going to be another runner stranded for UMass Boston. They've left 5 on base so far. 4 of them with the bat in Gianni Zerilli's hands. He's the man on deck. Castleton has left 6 on. 3 of them coming a couple innings ago when Cannon Dush struck out for the second time, this time with the bases loaded. But amid all the throws over, this is just going to be the second pitch in the at-bat to Jake Waltman, who took ball 1 on the first and lifts a high, mile-high fly ball into right field. Dush moving back on it and back and finally making the one-handed grab. A fly ball that would normally be about mid-right field and routine becomes increasingly difficult in this sort of wind, which, although the intensity has varied slightly, has been significant and toward right field every step of the way. Every batter who has come to the plate has benefited by it or been harmed by it. And Cannon Dush has handled it particularly well out there, making any number of catches inevitably going to his left and pacing his steps very well, never stumbling. Oh, the throw to first gets away. Levitt's going to turn right around, head for second. Rounding second, on his way to third. The throw comes over. It's off the line. He gets up, comes home. The throw to the plate. He's out. Oh, and he took a hit running into Carson Mosher, and he is down in the batter's box. Seems to be okay as he walks off the field, but Levitt, ambitious around the bases. First 2 worked out, the last one spelled doom for him. We go to the bottom of the 5th. No score in the inning, 5-4 for the game. Half an inning after a diving catch prompted a double play. Luke Levitt reaches base on a single and tries to take 3 bases on errant throws. Gets to third safely, and the throw to third gets away, but if you could see it on the play, there is not quite as much room on that trajectory where the ball bounced. It came into the short part of the fence. There's a line drive up the middle, base hit for the number 5 hitter, Jake O'Brien, to lead it off. There's not quite enough space as the ball bounced away. You don't necessarily blame Levitt for being ambitious there. If you want to use on-base percentage or batting average as a proxy here, the guy hitting behind him, Jake Woltman, you'd estimate he's got roughly a 35% chance of reaching base in a way that's going to drive Levitt home from third. So the calculation at that point kind of becomes, as the batter, Evan Keegan, looks like he's got some dirt in his eye. The wind has been picking up some of there's no dirt on not so much dirt on the field here, but enough little particulate matter that he could have gotten something stuck. The calculation for Levitt at that point becomes, is it more likely I'm going to score on this ball trickling away than it is that Jake's going to knock me in from third? So he tried for it, and it wasn't a great throw home, but it was in enough time as the throw took the catcher, Carson Mosher, maybe a little bit more into the path of Levitt than he would have anticipated, as Levitt tried to dive for the front side of home plate. If he'd gone for the back, he maybe could have been in there, maybe. Strike one to Evan Keegan. It's a 1-1 count now with a runner on first and nobody out. The runner on first, Jake O'Brien, has stolen 1 out of 2. And Alex Amalfi, working on back-to-back scoreless innings, as Corliss sells the strike. One and two now. Infield playing at double play depth. Lasered off to the right side, still 1 and 2. For UMass Boston, that was their 11th double play of the season. Puts them at third in the conference in that category. Still a little bit of a discrepancy here in the counting stats because not all teams have played the same number of games. Those are gradually leveling out. Swing foul tipped into the glove and strike 3 for Keegan. And for Alex Amalfi, that is strikeout number 7. So he has found the depth, at least in that sense, and has been racking them up more and more. That said, he has still thrown about 85 pitches. We may not see too much more of him depending on how this inning goes and how quickly he can get out of it. But a first pitch strike to Jackson Cardozo will certainly help his case. Cardozo with a hit and a walk in his first 2 trips, but has not driven in a run nor scored one, as the lineup around him has not been particularly good. Cannon Dush on deck behind him has struck out 2, or both the times he's been up at the plate. And Ryan Lawrence hasn't reached either. Oh, Cardozo couldn't hold up. And Amalfi's got him guessing here. So after a good first couple of at-bats, Cardozo behind the 8 ball, 1 and 2. O'Brien leads from second. Amalfi comes home out of the stretch. Fastball up in the eyes of Cardozo, and the count is even at 2 and 2. Amalfi, scoreless inning in the third, as he stranded a pair of runners. Scoreless inning in the fourth as Luke Levitt's diving catch prompted a double play. Pitch comes home. Cardozo shaves it off the handle, and the count stays 2 and 2. Remember, this is a doubleheader. We'll have a second one coming up for you. Same website, different link. Should be visible to you in the window you're watching it right now. Cardozo stepping up just a smidge in the box, leveling out his stance. Pitch comes in high, and the count's full. Both of these teams going to turn around. Castleton's going to play Middlebury and Skidmore for the second time in a week. During the middle of the week before returning to Little East Conference play is, Amalfi rings him up on the outer edge, and Cardozo can't believe it. But that's the second out. They'll resume LEC play on Saturday, a week from today, with a doubleheader against Rhode Island College. UMass Boston's going to have a couple of midweek games against Endicott and Roger Williams. Roger Williams, they just lost to 9-7 a few days ago. We're going to have a doubleheader with Suffolk next weekend before resuming conference play in the midweek with a road game against Plymouth State. The second half of that home and home is not going to be played until April 26th. First pitch ball to the number 8 hitter, Cannon Dush, who's been set down on strikes both times he's come up and swings through that one. He's represented 2 of Amalfi's 8 strikeouts. He has not struck out Hunter Perkins. He has not struck out Reese DeCastro, both of whom have reached multiple times against him. Everyone else in the lineup he has got at least once, and Dush he's gotten twice. 1-1 pitch, fastball low and away corner, strike 2. So despite the leadoff single there from O'Brien, back-to-back strikeouts. Keegan swinging, Cardozo looking, and now Dush swinging. Down on strikes for the third time. 9 Ks from Alex Amalfi in mid-season form after the early struggles. And at the end of 5 full innings, 5-4 Beacons. Max Olmstead to the hill in the stead of Riley Orr, the junior right-hander with a book closed on him. We'll take a look at his stat line and then get to profiling Olmstead. 5 innings in the books, 94 pitches for Orr, 5 runs, all of them earned, and 4 strikeouts after facing 25 batters. For Olmstead, this is his 8th appearance and 7th in relief. And through 15 innings, he has ceded 15 runs. He's got a whip of about 2, and he's allowing batters a .348 average against him. 3 home runs as well, maybe a little bit of a cause for concern. That said, 21 strikeouts as well for the big right-hander, 6'6", 215. If you want to take a look over here at the strikeouts category, He is 7th in the conference coming into today. Senior left-hander. He's got a lot of leverage staring down at you at the mound. 6'6" with a lot of limb.
Leading off for the Beacons.
It's going to be Gianni Zurilli, followed by Ethan Herrera and then Steve Brookwell, the 8, 9, and 1 hitters. The bottom two have not reached base. Brookwell has been there twice, both on hits. Both times he has scored. Both of the leadoff men in this game, that would be Brookwell and Hunter Perkins, have reached multiple times, scored multiple times. Inside pitch, but gets the plate. Olmstead winds. Got, that little hesitation in the middle of his windup pays some dividends there as he gets one by Zurilli. First time Zurilli has struck out today. 5th strikeout for a Castleton hurler. And with 1 out, the batter will be Ethan Herrera.
The right fielder. Number 20.
Retired both times, one of them by strikeout. Had a dropped fly ball in the bottom of the 2nd inning that helped a couple of runs score. And takes strike 1 now. Olmstead winds, comes home. Ooh, little frisbee pitch, kind of tailing away. Arm side. And the count 0-2. It's a much different look. Riley Orr, 6'2", 210, about a normal-sized person. Now they've got with a pitcher who's got about the same amount of mass to him, but he's a lefty, and he's got 4 inches of height. Ethan Herrera with a mile-high pop-up. Looked like it was going to foul territory, but the wind blows it back fair. And making the catch over in fair territory is Reese DeCastro. Back to the top of the order now, and Steve Brookwell with the first 2 men set down.
The center fielder. Number 21. Steve Brookwell.
Olmstead comes home inside, almost hit Brookwell in the count 1-0. Like we said, Brookwell, in his 3 at-bats, has 2 hits, 2 runs scored, and a stolen base tacked on for good measure. In fact, he's got the only extra base hit of the day when he legged out stretch double in his last AB. He's been setting the table all season for the UMass Boston hitters and has been doing very well in that role. And after Olmstead got ahead of the first couple guys and asserted himself, he's down 2-0 to Steve Brookwell. High and away, 3-0. And Brookwell at this point is more than content with a walk. He can get on base and wreak some havoc with his speed. He does lead the team on the season with 15 walks. Make it 16. And now a guy who's stolen 8 out of 9 bases is on first with 2 out. And Drew Metzdorf to the plate. Arguably the most impactful hitter for UMass Boston this season, at least so far. Leading the team in hits, slugging percentage, RBIs, stolen bases, doubles, home runs. 2nd in batting average. Fastball tails away a little bit, but still catches the plate. 0-1. Throw over to first. Brookwell's back easily. Couple of games to catch you up on elsewheres in the LEC. Rhode Island College disposing of Southern Maine by a 6-run margin. Eastern Connecticut State doing the same by the same margin to Plymouth State. We've got these couple of games. UMass Dartmouth and WestCon had their games postponed. Brookwell takes off for second. He's got this bag stolen. Splendid jump from Brookwell, and Mosher didn't have a chance. There's a ball at the plate, so the count is 1-1. And now Brookwell, true to form, steals second. His second steal of the game. He stole third as part of a double steal with Metzdorf back in the first inning. He's now 9 of 10 on the season. Metzdorf 10 of 10. The only player on the squad who's stolen more bags than Brookwell. Oh, and Metzdorf way out in front of that one, and a half-hearted swing brings the count to 1-2. When you're Max Olmstead, when you're as big as Max Olmstead is, when you've got as much height and limb as he's got going to him, it can sometimes make it a little trickier, pound for pound, or inch for inch for that matter, to hold your runners on. All your motions take a little bit longer. It's not as compact. And Brookwell very much knows how to read pitchers. Runner on second, 2 out, 1-2. UMass Boston looking to pad a 1-run lead as the scoring in the game has largely stagnated. Olmstead checks his runner, fires toward the plate. Metzdorf just gets a piece of it to stay alive. Committed to the swing and tipped it off the end of the bat. Still 1-2. Brookwell with a healthy lead off a second. Olmstead fires low. Good block from Mosher. Anything less than Brookwell standing on third base. And instead, he's still on second with a 2-2 count and 2 gone in the top of the 6th. Sun starting to dip a little bit less of the field in direct sunlight. Should make things a tad easier on the outfielders dealing with the wind. But where it is in relation to the clouds is going to make a big difference. Olmstead turns around and stares Brookwell back to second. Eventually, it stops from being dead overhead when you catch the fly balls, and it starts being in your eyes when you're trying to track them off the bat. 2-2 pitch. Metzdorf, mile-high pop-up in a shallow center field. Moving back on it is the shortstop, O'Brien, to make the catch. And Brookwell is stranded at second. No runs for UMass Boston in the top of the 6th, and after 5.5, the 1-run lead still stands. books closed on Alex Amalfi, 99 pitches to get through 5 innings. 4 runs seeded, only 2 of them earned. 9 strikeouts to add to his total. It's going to put him at 36 for the year. Going to be tops on the Beacons. In his stead is Brendan Ferrari. Goes 2-0 on the leadoff hitter in the bottom of the 6th, Ryan Lawrence. Ferrari on the season. He's got 9 2/3 innings pitched to his name. That one tails away for ball 1. A .652 earned run average in those appearances. .325 batting average against. Only 1 walk, though. This is his 6th appearance on the season, all of them in relief. Line drive right center field, hanging up for the right fielder Herrera to make the grab for the first out. Solidly struck, but with enough hang time. And now back to the top of the order we go. Hunter Perkins, the outfielder, followed by Reese DeCastro.
The left fielder, number 26, Hunter Perkins.
Perkins has been as destructive as any hitter in this game. 2 hits to his name with a walk. A hit and a walk, 2 runs scored. Make it. It's going to be a trap there, it looks like, and it is called as such. There's a base knock for Hunter Perkins. There's his 2nd hit. He's reached 3 of 4 times. And now the Spartans have a runner on with 1 out. Brookwell tried to sell it a little bit, but the ball bounced before it hit his glove. And so he settles for a trap. And now Reese DeCastro, who's got a single and a double, a run scored and a run batted in his 3 appearances, steps up for his 4th against a new pitcher with a runner on first. Strike 1. Perkins has stolen 1 out of 1. He's 10th in the LEC in runs batted in. Interesting enough for a guy who's being placed in the leadoff spot today. But he's broken something of a streak for himself. This is his 14th game with a base hit in a row. But only the 2nd time in that streak that he's had multiple hits. That one tails away, 1-1 now. But it's DeCastro in his senior season who has really set the mark for this Castleton lineup. That one bounces in for a ball. DeCastro leading the team in batting average and hits, slugging percentage, doubles. He's 2nd on the team in on-base percentage, in runs scored, in bases stolen. A couple of those marks ranking top 10 in the conference. Shanks that pitch off to the right, and the count is even at 2-2. Big pitch here from Ferrari. It's a ground ball. Foul will do it again. Nice barehanded grab in the third base coach's box. It's head coach Ted Shipley in his 23rd season. He was the basketball coach too for a while, 1999 to 2009. Stewarded both teams before reverting to just baseball. He's got Tyler Albert as hitting coach, John Stewart Jr. as pitching coach, and Ryan Santos in the bullpen. Behind Brendan Eigebrodt, it's Brad Fogel, Justin Kelly, Jackie Reynolds, Corey Allard, Willie Allen, Barry Bell, and Nick Lepore. Both of these guys have been at it 19 plus years as DeCastro takes a ball to run the count full. Castleton having just moved to the Little East Conference a few years ago. Today's games are their 5th and 6th all time against UMass Boston. The Beacons have not lost to them. Ferrari comes home. That's outside. The runner was off with a pitch, and it won't matter much. DeCastro takes the walk. He reaches base for the third time. And with 2 on and 1 out, it's Carson Mosher with a run scored but hitless in 3 trips, trying to get something done. Hook for Ferrari finds the outer edge, backdoors him nicely on the first pitch of the AB, 0-1. Chopped off 0-2. Ferrari has been getting ahead of these hitters ever since he popped into the game. Stats on him suggest he could be game for multiple innings of relief here if he can get out of the jam fairly quickly. He's already thrown 14 pitches with just 1 out on the board. Make it 2 outs on the board. A hesitant half swing there from Carson Mosher, and he's set down on strikes for the second time. First strikeout from Ferrari. And with 2 out and 2 on, the batter will be Tyler McLean. A hit and a walk thus far. 2 runs batted in on that hit. But it was him who had that Sun double that brought a couple of runs home when Ethan Herrera couldn't quite find the ball in time. Ferrari comes set. Tipped off at the plate, 0-1 to get going. Remember, we got the second game of the doubleheader coming up after this one. You can watch it on the same website you're looking at right now. And we thank you very much for tuning in. It's Milton Posner bringing you this edition of UMass Boston Beacons baseball. They're facing off against Castleton University here on the LEC Network. We're glad you're joining us. We're through 5.5 innings. It's a 5-4 game in favor of the Beacons. UMass Boston put up a 4-spot in the first after their first 5 hitters reached base safely. Castleton put up 2 earned runs in the first, 2 unearned runs in the second. And UMass Boston, on stretch hits from Brookwell and Metzdorf, pulled ahead by a run in the top of the 4th. But for 3.5 innings, that run has been the lone one on the board. Back pick at first. Just getting back is Castro. Corliss saw a good chance and he took it. Castro taking a big secondary lead there without the first baseman Jake Woltman holding him on. When you've got a runner ahead of you, this tends to happen, but it leaves you vulnerable to the back pick. If you get too lackadaisical about it, you stop paying attention to the catcher, and the catcher starts paying attention to you. 2 on, 2 out, 1-2 pitch, fouled away. We'll do it again. McLean sticking his tongue out. He felt like he had that pitch. He was just a beat late. Castleton needing to find their offense here in a big way. They haven't really been smacking the ball as much as they were in the early innings. And the scoreboard reflects it. Beacons have been doing just enough. Fastball high, and the count is even. Ferrari comes home, ground ball to Zerilli at short. He'll go the long way to Woltman at first, and the side is retired. Ferrari strands a pair, and at the end of 6 full, that 1-run lead has withstood the Spartan attack. Aiden Blake to kick things off in the top of the 7th. Swings through the opening pitch from Max Olmstead. And it's an 0-1 count. The senior left-hander put up a goose egg in his first inning of work and back out there for the second now. Or his second, 7th overall. Catches the outside edge now for strike 2. He's facing Aiden Blake, Kevin Carrera on deck, Craig Corliss behind him. All of them having done some sort of damage in this game, either having scored a run or gotten at least one base hit. 0-2 pitch. Blake smacks it into the screen, and it stays 0-2. What we have not seen in this game from either team, and the wind does factor into this a little bit, is a ball that's really been hit on the screws. The balls that have gotten to the wall have been the ones that have split the gap or found space down the line. Strike 3 on the hook, and Blake standing with an irritated expression at the plate. But he's set down on strikes for the first time. 6th time it's happened to UMass Boston.
Number 33, Kevin Carrera.
And now it's Kevin Carrera. Shows bunt, pulls back, takes ball 1. Carrera not the first player to occupy the DH spot for UMass Boston this season. We've seen Jake Woltman do it. We've seen Craig Corliss on the games he wasn't catching. We've seen Drew Metzdorf on occasion. But it's his spot today, and he takes ball 2. Olmstead, ooh, that's a tricky one right there. When you're as tall or as long as he is, and that pitch comes toward you with arm side run, it's particularly difficult for the left-handers who are trying to place the barrel. The righties, it's a little bit easier. Oh, and he figured it out that time as it stayed over the middle of the plate. And Kevin Carrera knocks a base hit in the center field with 1 out. Now Craig Corliss gets to hit with a runner on. He's driven in 2 runs already in this game. And if he can bring up Luke Levitt, Levitt's got 2 hits and 2 at-bats. One of them, an RBI hit. Olmstead comes home, Corliss takes, and motions to his runner to stay right where he is. 0-1. Excuse me, 1-0. Olmstead's strolling off the hill here. Not sure what's They're putting a different runner, as we can see. My sight blocked for a moment. Looks like it's going to be Jimenez strolling on there. Mariano Jimenez, the freshman outfielder, who is used primarily as a pinch runner, and already taking a hefty lead right within Olmstead's sight lines. And Olmstead throws over just to let him know he sees him. That was not even a B move. You have to expect it to be about the C or D move for Olmstead. The Beacons, figuring the way things are going at this point, they might as well play for single runs. Fastball high and away. Not sure if Olmstead lost track of that. It looked like it might have been one of those quasi-pitch outs where you're trying to give your catcher a good pitch to throw on, if not completely seeding the ball. Jimenez in that low stance. Dives back. Mariano Jimenez, freshman outfielder out of nearby Waltham, Massachusetts, has a walk on the season. He has scored 4 runs, it seems, and has swiped both bases he has attempted. One of them even coming on a play where he tripped and fell on his face and still managed to get where he was going cleanly enough. 2-1 now. It's Craig Corliss at the dish, being gifted a pinch runner to take some of the attention off of him. Olmsted trying to keep both guys in his sight lines. And throws over. He has not tried really any serious pickoff throws thus to this point. Really just trying to cut down the lead a little bit. But for Jimenez, this is his 8th appearance. Olmsted comes home. There goes Jimenez. Ground ball back to the pitcher. Jimenez stutter stepped for a moment. I think he wasn't sure if the ball was caught on the fly, but ultimately went right to second, realizing he'd have been toast if it were caught on the fly either way. So he advances to second on the comebacker to the pitcher. Having him run with the pitch might have spared them a double play there with the less than lightning fast Corliss coming down the line at first. And with a runner at scoring position now and 2 out, the batter is Luke Levitt. Jimenez with a healthy lead off of second. Olmsted comes home. And that's where that pitch has been especially helpful. That little arm side run that he gets to it. You can force it in on the left-hander to get him to hit it off the handle or miss it entirely. But he's also used it as a kind of in and out pitch to nibble away at the outside corner. The reason there's a runner on base right now is because he left it over the middle. That one came over the outer edge as Olmsted fakes Jimenez back to second. Four runs per team, 8 total through the first 2 innings. 1 run through the next 4. Fly ball down the left field line, hooking foul. You wonder about balls hit in that direction because the ones that start foul can be blown back fair. It catches the wind at the right moment. Remember, that wind has been blowing toward right the entire game to one degree or another. And now 0-2, Levitt's got to be careful here. Has an opportunity with a runner in scoring position. UMass Boston has the opportunity by virtue of the bat being in his hands as he calls time. 5'9", 170-pound outfielder from Manchester by the Sea in his sophomore season. He was 3 of 4 with 3 runs batted in to lead the Beacons lineup in the last game. They put up 11 runs against Western New England University and still lost by 6. Here's the pitch inside. Did it clip him? No. Ball 1. If he doesn't move there, he's maybe got first base right now. And well, normally that's the preferred outcome if you can get very lightly grazed by a pitch and earn a base out of it. At this point, given how the bottom of the lineup has hit, hitless in 9 trips, they'd rather the bat be in Levitt's hands. 1-2 pitch home, line drive, right field, base hit. Jimenez comes around third. He will score without a throw, and the Beacons finally tack on that other run. They lead it 6-4. They have stranded 6 runners today, most of them in the last couple innings. And finally, Levitt, with a lightly hit base hit down the line in right to score the speedy Jimenez from second, and the pinch running decision pays off for Brendan Eigebrod and the UMass Boston coaching staff. Woltman, sky-high foul ball hooking over past the grass for an 0-1 count. The wind has died down a little bit here. No guarantee, of course, that it stays that way. It was gusting up to 20, 25, 30 miles an hour closer to first pitch. Off for second is Levitt. The throw down from Mosher's a good throw, but Levitt's got the bag anyway. It was too good a jump. The throw from Mosher was just about perfect. But for Luke Levitt, a stolen base, his third of the year in as many tries. And now another runner in scoring position for Jake Woltman. And here's where the bottom of the lineup can really start to turn things around. 9 at-bats for them, no hits, 3 strikeouts. 1-1 pitch to Jake Woltman. Fouled back. UMass Boston has run wild today. 4 stolen bases, 2 for Brookwell, 1 for Metzdorf on the double steal with Brookwell, 1 for Levitt. And of course, Levitt took those 2 bases and was thrown out trying to take home plate on a couple of errant throws. As Woltman cracks that one down the line to keep the count at 2-2. Chance for UMass Boston here. 1 insurance run already in the inning. There goes the runner for third, and it's fouled off at the plate. Woltman was out in front. It's an interesting decision to send the runner here to third with 2 outs. But the Beacons are nothing if not aggressive on the bases, and Luke Levitt in particular. For those tuning in earlier in the day, you might recall when he survived the pickoff throw at first, took second, ambitiously took third, beat the throw, and was thrown out on a tough play at home trying to take the bag as the throw to third skipped past. He goes for third again. Throw from Mosher. This time it's on a hop, and Levitt's got another steal. Did not get the best jump, but Mosher didn't get off the best throw. In the third baseman, DeCastro, the way he's gesturing right now, it looks like they didn't have their defensive coverages straight. They didn't think he was going to, or maybe there was a decision to let him have the base. Unclear, but either way, runner 90 feet away, 2-2 pitch. Oh, pulled the string and pulled a couple auxiliary strings too by the looks of it. Wow, did that thing change up. So the Beacons get a run off of Olmsted, but strand a runner at third. And as we go to the 7th inning stretch, it's a 2-run lead for UMass Boston. First pitch is high and tight, excuse me, to the shortstop Jake O'Brien, the junior infielder. Brendan Ferrari stays out there on the mound just as Max Olmstead did, entering his second inning of relief. If you're a little confused just joining us why Castleton's batting in the bottom half of the inning, these games were originally scheduled to be played up in Castleton, Vermont. That one sails off the outer edge, 2-1. But they were moved. Castleton's field still not in playable condition after numerous days of inclement weather and not enough sunshine and warmth to dry them off. So for the sake of keeping mud off of everyone's clothes, game comes down to here with a turf field at Monin Park. It's a ball off the plate, 3-2. O'Brien, through his first 3 trips, has got a hit, 2 RBI, and a walk. Retired the other time. Inside, and that's his second walk of the game. This one coming to lead off the bottom of the 7th. We're heading into the spot in the order that has not really done as much for Castleton. And UMass Boston, the same can be said. The bottom 3 hitters for the Beacons are 0 of 10 with 4 strikeouts. The bottom 4 hitters in the Castleton lineup are just 1 of 10 with 6 strikeouts. It really has just been the top 5 hitters for each team that have been doing the bulk of the damage. But for UMass Boston, the next inning, it's going to be Gianni Zerilli, Ethan Herrera, and then back to the top of the order for Steve Brookwell. When we get there, Mariano Jimenez, who pinch ran. There's a fly ball in the shallow right field. Coming on to make the one-handed grab is Herrera for the first out. Mariano Jimenez, who pinch ran for the designated hitter Kevin Carrera, will stay in the game in the designated hitter spot. We have seen just 1 plate appearance from him on the season. He technically he walked. He doesn't have an at-bat listed because of that. He is used primarily as a pinch hitter, but we'll get to see him hit here, assuming substitution doesn't get made in the meantime. Throw over as Woltman fields it. Diving back to the bag is O'Brien. O'Brien has stolen 1 out of 2. Castleton as a unit has not tried a stolen base today. UMass Boston's been trying them all over the place. Strike on the outer half, 0-1 now to Jackson Cardozo, the designated hitter. The only member of the bottom 4 in the Castleton lineup to have a base knock today. Infield playing at double play depth. Jake Woltman holding the runner on at first. There's strike 2. Ferrari's been pretty steady in the early going. Has allowed a couple of hits, stranded a pair in his first inning of work, but has not given up anything particularly alarming by way of loud outs. Nice stop there by Corliss. He's telling his pitcher, calm down. You got it. One and 2 now. Infield still a double play depth. That one tails over, got him. Cardozo leaps back in frustration as the arm side run brought it back to the outside edge, and Ferrari with his second strikeout. It's Cannon Dush now again with a runner on base. By virtue of circumstance, but also by virtue of his own struggles, 4 runners stranded on base on his watch. Make it 5 if they can find the pop-up. Coming over is Aiden Blake in front of the right fielder, Herrera, to make the grab. And so for the first time today, Dush doesn't strike out, but it's a first pitch pop-up to send us to the top of the 8th with no damage done. With a run in the top of the 7th, looking for more. It's Gianni Zarilli fouling that one off into the screen. Max Olmstead's going to stay out there for Castleton, having thrown 39 pitches to get through 2 innings, gave up a run, has shown some solid pitching out there, particularly with that little arm side run he's got on. We'd have to imagine is a 2-seam fastball or something close to it. And you see him pull the string on Gianni Zarilli. He's had a couple really good changeups too. But he also seeded the run. And with the way UMass Boston's hurlers have settled in here, first Amalfi after the rocky start, and then Ferrari in a steady pair of scoreless innings, they don't have that much time here. But a strikeout of Gianni Zarilli is going to get him on the right track. And with 1 out, the batter is Ethan Herrera. So the bottom half of the Beacons order still struggling to generate some offense. 0 of 11. That is their 5th strikeout. And Herrera, who, as you can see, has posted a solid average on the season, looking to jumpstart them heading into the top of the lineup. Fouls that one into the screen, 0-1. Herrera, as we mentioned earlier, coming into this game hitting over 300 in a solid number of plate appearances. Has also provided some pretty serviceable pitching out of the pen when called on. And had a bomb over the left field wall in the series against NVU Linden a few weeks ago. It cleared the fence by a healthy margin. Take strike 2 here, the count 1-2. What looked at the beginning like it was going to be an offensive onslaught for both squads for a first inning that took approximately 4 hours has very much settled into a defensive-minded game here. Solid pitching, and any number of base runners stymied out there. 7 left for UMass Boston, 10 for the Spartans. Pitch dives inside. Carson Mosher with a nice stop, even with no one on base. He has had a couple of stops there that have held Beacon runners. You've seen how aggressive the boys in the blue and white have been if left to their own devices, and Mosher has definitely kept a few of them put. Herrera grounds that one sharply but foul down the line, and the count remains full. You're just joining us here. The defense behind the pitcher, Max Olmstead, is looking like this. Hunter Perkins, Ryan Lawrence, Cannon Dush from left to right field. DeCastro O'Brien. They're not going to get a chance at this one as that one careens into Herrera's knee. DeCastro O'Brien, McLean, Keegan, third to first around the infield. Carson Mosher catching Olmstead. Looks like they're going to check on him and see if he's still good to go. It was a little tricky to see exactly where the pitch hit him. It looked like it came around the knee area. You just hope it hit above or below it. Brookwell, Metzdorf, Herrera, along with a couple of coaches out there. They'll leave Herrera on first. Brookwell to the dish now as we recycle back to the top of the order. Herrera liable to run, but has not succeeded all that much this season when he's tried. 1 steal in 5 tries. Decent sized lead here. Stays put, and it's a first pitch strike to Steve Brookwell. One of 2 guys in the UMass Boston lineup here with multiple hits. The only one who scored twice. He's got a walk to his name as well. 2 stolen bases. He has been a pest. Throw back at first, and Herrera dives back safely. Brookwell, as is typical, has been a pest for the opposition. The infield coming into double play depth here on a guy who's definitely tough to double up. Oh and 2 now. Olmsted checks his runner, comes home, and fires outside for ball 1. Olmsted peers in. There goes the runner. Brookwell swings and misses at the plate. That's a strikeout, but the swing takes him into the catcher's path. Maybe unintentionally, maybe not. But he gifts Herrera a stolen base right there. His second on the season in try number 6. And with a runner on second and Drew Metzdorf at the dish, Olmsted very much not out of the woods yet.
Drew Metzdorf.
Big swing and a miss at the high and away fastball there. Metzdorf behind 0-1. And that was a parking lot swing. Or maybe trying to hit it off the light tower in dead center. Either way, it looked like he was. There's a building window in right center field he was aiming for. One of those sorts of swings. 6-4 UMass Boston, the top of the 8th. Beacons looking for slightly plusher cushion. That one sails high, 1-1 now. UMass Boston put up 4 runs in the first inning, 1 in the 4th, 1 in the 7th. Castleton 2 in the first, 2 in the second, and that's been it so far. Metzdorf fouls that one back into the screen, 1-2. 5 straight scoreless innings for the Spartans. 3 of them at the hands of Alex Amalfi. The last 2 at Brendan Ferrari's on his watch. It's not that they haven't been close in any number of those innings. In fact, a couple of them, they had multiple runners in scoring position when the inning ended. But the timely hitting has not always been there for the Vermont visitors. As Metzdorf chips that one foul, will do the 1-2 pitch again. One-two pitch. Metzdorf, a solid foul ball this time, but a foul ball nonetheless. The one bounces off the parking structure and all the way back onto the field. Might be the most exit velocity anyone's had today. It came on a ball he hit foul down the opposite way. Metzdorf refusing to go quietly with 2 strikes is stretching out the at-bat. Luke Levitt waiting patiently on second. Olmsted comes set, comes home. Ground ball to third. Gobbled up by DeCastro across the diamond to get Metzdorf by a step and a half. When we're through with 7.5 innings, Castleton with 6 defensive outs to play with and a 2-run deficit, staring down at them. Brendan Ferrari is going to keep it going
Number 1.
in the bottom of the 8th inning. He's going to face off against, I want to double check here, make sure I've got this right. You're going to face off against Ryan Lawrence, and then back to the top of the order, Hunter Perkins and Reese DeCastro. Pitch high and away by a narrow margin. 2-1 now. Ferrari rocks and throws, forces another foul ball. This one into the top of the screen for strike 2. 2-2. Infield giving Ryan Lawrence a lot of space up the middle, protecting the seams instead. Inside, a few inches from the shoulder. Count runs full. Down on strikes he goes. Another K for Brendan Ferrari. And with 1 out now, the batter will be Hunter Perkins. 2 hits, 2 runs scored, a walk to go along with it.
The left fielder, number 26, Hunter Perkins.
Fly ball, solidly struck, but easily playable in left center field. Wind's blowing it in a little bit, and results in a tricky route, but a catch nevertheless for the speedy Steve Brookwell.
Now batting the third baseman, number 6,
Reese DeCastro now.
Castro.
Coming up with the bases empty, and that's the way you want to face Reese DeCastro. I mean, it's the way you want to face anyone, I suppose, but him in particular. Line drive into right field, moving back on an Herrera for the nice catch. Some defensive troubles earlier in the game, but looked pretty good there as Brendan Ferrari, in his longest outing of the season, scoreless. 3 innings of relief. Into the 9th inning we go. The 3, 4, 5 spots. Aiden Blake, the second baseman. Mariano Jimenez, the designated hitter, after having pinch run for Kevin Carrera. And Craig Corliss, the catcher. Still facing off against Max Olmstead in extended relief. He's through 3 innings, having allowed 1 earned run. Generally pitched pretty well. But the offensive support has dried up since the second inning for Castleton. They haven't scored a run since then. They haven't scored an earned run since the second inning. Fastball tails away. 2-1. The top of the order for both teams has produced fairly well. The bottom of the order for both teams has not produced squat. But for the Beacons, they have done just a slightly better job in the long run of stringing things together. And of course, the speed has made some of the difference. Two and two now. Blake trying to lead off the ninth with something. Beacon's last chance to pad the lead. Pop fly. Is the wind going to blow that one out of play? Giving chase is Keegan, and stays in play, but a tricky enough catch to make going over the shoulder. It kind of landed in no man's land. And the count stays full. Three and two to Aiden Blake. With a base hit, a run scored, a walk in this game already. Second baseman has been providing a lot of the offensive juice in the middle of the lineup. Junior, alongside slightly more experienced hands, has proven that he belongs in the heart of the order. And that's why he belongs. Aiden Blake to deep left field, and that one's off the top of the wall. Long double for Aiden Blake to lead off the top of the ninth. Looks like we're not going to see Jimenez hit after all. There's going to be a pinch hitter strolling up to the plate. It's R.J. Menard. Pinch hitting in the DH's spot. 6'3", 235, the big guy out of Wayne, New Jersey.
Pinch hitting, number 30, R.J. Menard.
He's got 2 RBIs on the season. And a chance for a third here with Aiden Blake on second and nobody out. Olmsted in trouble. The first ball that was truly blasted today. And it comes in the top of the ninth. So he reestablishes himself with the first pitch strike to Menard. Olmsted typically does not pitch in this kind of volume. His average outing is about 2 innings and change. And yet here he is in his 4th inning of work. Another strike. Blake standing on second base. Stolen 2 out of 3 this season. You'd expect he stays put here, but then again, Luke Levitt tried a stolen base in a spot you even less so would expect, but the decision's going to be taken out of his hands. Passed ball sends him down to third. And now with another cushion run 90 feet away and nobody out, Max Olmsted's got himself in a spot. Would go as an unearned run if it's scored, but it's of little comfort to a team that's already facing the prospect of having to score 2 runs against a Beacons lineup that hasn't been allowing any. Menard trying to get the run home. Craig Corliss in the number 5 spot waiting on deck. High pop fly, high, soaring over toward the Beacons dugout. And just out of room is Evan Keegan. Menard has not had a ton of appearances this season, but a chance to do something valuable here. Pitch low. Olmsted frustrated with himself. He knows he missed his spot. And with a runner on third, he knows he can't afford to be giving balls away. Wines fires the 2-2. Swing and a miss. He got him out in front for a very valuable first out. Craig Corliss now has driven in 2 runs earlier in the game. Doesn't even need a hit here to do it. A slow ground ball, a well-struck fly will do just fine. Aiden Blake's got enough speed from third. For that matter, a wild pitch would get the job done as well. We saw the pass ball a minute ago. Olmsted's been pretty reliable. Only 1 wild pitch in 15 innings coming into this one. And he fires high for ball 1. Aiden Blake with a modest lead off of third base. Luke Levitt, the hottest bat in the UMass Boston lineup, waits on deck. Corliss digs that one out. It's another pop fly chasing Keegan over toward the UMass Boston dugout, and this one out of play by a slightly wider margin. One and one, 1 out, 1 on. 2-run lead for the Beacons. That pitch gets by. Coming home is Aiden Blake, scoring easily, and the Beacons tack on a 7th run. Right through the wickets of Carson Mosher, who has been outstanding up until this inning. A passed ball to send the runner to third. Another passed ball sends him home. And an unearned run in the worst way at the worst time for Castleton. Ground ball, oh, and Corliss chipped that one off his foot, looked like. Possibly his shin, but immediately goes to the ground. Trying to shake it off and continue the AB. It's gone on for a while. Fouling off a couple pitches. Olmsted also holding the ball with a runner on. Two-two pitch. Corliss swings and tries to dig it out on the low one to no avail. 2 outs in the frame. Olmsted has done a more than creditable job in relief here. 3 2/3 innings. Only 1 earned run. The other one very much not on him. He did allow the leadoff double to Aiden Blake in this inning, but 2 passed balls that Mosher should have at least kept in front of him. As Levitt swings through an outside one, 0-1. Can't exactly say run batted in from Corliss. He didn't have to do much batting. 0-1 pitch. Out over the outer half. Strike 2. Oh and 2. Foul tipped. Catcher just couldn't snag it. And Luke Levitt's going to get to extend the AB. 2 gone in the inning. Bases empty after the 2 passed balls scored Aiden Blake. 0-2 pitch. Fly ball. Popped in a shallow right center field. A couple of guys converging, and it's the right fielder, Dush, to make the catch. Last chance for Castleton as we go to the bottom of the 9th. 3-run deficit to overcome.
Leading off for the Spartans, the
Josh
captain, 19,
Eastman,
Carson.
the graduate student right-hander, 6'2", 245 out of Marshfield, Mass, in here to shut things down. And draws a pop-up out of the first hitter. It's sailing out toward the second base area. It's the shortstop, Zerilli, to play it. 1 pitch, 1 down. As the leadoff man is retired. It was Carson Mosher. He's going to be followed by Tyler McLean. And now on deck is Jake O'Brien. We've got 2 outs to play with now, 3 runs to make up. Remember, if you're just joining us and aren't aware, Eastman comes in and another 1-pitch hit. This one's going out toward Aiden Blake at second. 2 pitches, 2 outs, and you can't ask for anything more from Eastman. Remember, we're going to have another game. It's going to start, we're going to have a little pause between the games, and then the second one's going to start. Same website, different link. You should be able to find it pretty easily.
The shortstop, number 4, Jake O'Brien.
Eastman winds, fires, strike. I had to imagine O'Brien wasn't swinging at the first pitch if they lobbed it up there with an invitation on it. Should he reach, Evan Keegan would get a chance. Over for a strike, and Eastman is throwing nothing but strikes right now. 4 pitches, all of them strikes. 2 outs, now 2 strikes. Last hope for the Spartans. That one tails outside. Eastman has been splendid this season. 159 earned run average, best on the staff. And this is 7th relief appearance. Strike 3 called, and this game is over. 6 pitches is all it takes for Josh Eastman to shut the door. And the Beacons, after a steady helping on of runs in the middle innings, separate themselves just enough to earn a win going away. Couple of runs batted in apiece from Craig Corliss and Luke Levitt. Levitt with 3 hits for the second straight game. Alex Amalfi starts and goes 5 innings, gives up 2 earned runs. Brendan Ferrari comes in to handle the next 3, gives up a hit, 2 walks, and no runs before Josh Eastman shuts the door. I want to give a quick thank you to our crew before we sign off. Before we get to that, remember, we have the second game of the doubleheader coming up. You can watch it at the same website you're watching this on. Just click to the different link, and you can find it. Quick update from around the LEC before we go there. We've got Rhode Island College and Southern Maine facing off. East Con and Plymouth State doing battle as well. Those games started at 3 p.m. The second of those games, Rhode Island College and ECSU taking the first 2. They look, East Con is poised to take the second one. Southern Maine making a run in their capper. We're going to have the results from those. And the second game here from Monin Park pretty soon. Going to give a quick thank you to our team before we sign off. We are going to send you to the break. Thanks to everybody who put their heads and their hands in to bring you this broadcast. They'll be right back for the second one. I'm Milton Posner. Thank you so very much for listening, and we will see you in a moment.